Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Quote for today is nothing in nature blooms all year. Be patient with yourself. Today, the topic of my presentation is light, and I'm presenting it under the supervision of my professor, Dr. Sara Afzal. Learning outlines of the presentation are requirements of the good light, measurements of light, natural lighting, measurements of daylight, artificial lighting, biological effects of light, recent advances, and MCQs at the end. Learning outcome at the end of this presentation, participants would be able to describe the requirements of good lighting, measurements of light, natural light, artificial lighting, and lighting standards. Now, introduction of the light environment has been divided into three main components. First, physiological, second, biological, third is social. In the physiological, there is water, air, soil, and light, and in biological, plants and animals' life. And in social, there comes customs, cultures, habits, income, religion, etc. Now, requirements of good lighting. Good lighting is essential for efficient vision. Poor lighting conditions can lead to general fatigue and loss of efficiency. For efficient vision, following light factors are essential. First is sufficiency, second distribution, third absence of glare, and fourth is the absence of sharp shadows. Sufficiency. The lighting should be sufficient to enable the eye to discern the detail of the object as well as the surrounding without eye strain. An illumination of 15 to 20-foot candles is accepted as a basic minimum for satisfactory vision. Illumination requirements vary from as little as 5-foot candles in stairways and corridors to 100-foot candles in some industries. Distribution of light should be uniform, having the same intensity over the whole field of work. Contrast difference in light will strain the eyes and affect adversely the visual acuity. Proper dispersion of light without shadow is necessary for efficient vision. Absence of glare is also necessary. Glare is excessive contrast. Best example of the glare is the automobile headlights at night. The same light during daylight would not cause glare owing to the absence of excessive contrast. Glare may be a direct glare from the source light. It can be a reflect glare from source, such as tabletops and polished furniture. Glare causes annoyance, and eye contact cannot tolerate glare because it causes acute discomfort and reduced critical vision. Fourth is the absence of sharp shadows. Slight shadows are inevitable, but sharp shadows are disturbing. Sharp shadows like glare causes confusion to eyes and should not be present in the field of vision. Steadiness, the source of light should be constant. It should not flicker because flickering causes eye strain and may lead to accidents. Then comes the colors of light. The color of light is not very important as long as the intensity is adequate. Natural light has soothing effect on eye, and artificial light should be as far as possible approximate the daylight color. Surroundings. When black object is viewed against a dark background, recognition is difficult. High levels of illumination will be required when there is a little color contrast. For efficient vision, color scheme in rooms is very important. Ceiling and roofs should have a reflection factor of 80%, wall 50 to 60%, and furniture 30 to 40%. There should be much reflection from floor, not more than 15 to 20%. Then comes the measurement of light. Light is perceived as narrow wavelength band of electromagnetic radiation from about 380 to 780 nanometers. Light containing all visible waves is perceived as white, and there is confusion about units of light measurement. However, light measurement units, there are four measurements units. First is luminescence, which is the power of light source considered as a point radiating all directions. It is measured as candela or candle power. Luminous flux, which is a flow of light related to the unit of single angle measured in lumen. Third is the illumination or illuminance, which is amount of light reaching a surface measured in lux per unit area. Brightness or luminance, which is the amount of light reflected from a surface measured in lamberts. This shows luminous flux, luminous intensity, luminous lux, and luminance candela per square meter. Natural lighting. Now, introduction of natural lighting. It is derived partly from visible sky and partly from reflection. In fact, much light comes to room by reflection from light-colored objects. Efficient utilization of natural light cells for careful design, location, and orientation, for building and relationship between buildings. Natural lighting also depends upon the time of day, season, weather, and atmospheric pollution. General principles in planning best utilization of daylight. Orientation. The brightness of sky is not constant on east and west in the direction. Direct penetration of the sunlight may heat up the room unduly in tropics, especially in summers. Buildings are therefore oriented wherever possible for uniform illumination. There is particularly important in respect of the schools, factories, and laboratories, where uniform light is required in all rooms. Removal of obstructive items, either wholly or partially, is likely to give the most effective single improvement in lighting. Windows. Tall and broad windows, greater penetration and diffusion of light should be there. Rule that window area should not be less than 10% of the floor is now outdated. In modern practice, windows area is correlated to the purpose of the room is intended to serve. The usefulness of window is reduced by covering them unnecessarily with curtains and screens. In order to obtain the full benefit of the natural illumination, the ceiling should be white. The upper portion of the walls light tinted and lower portion somewhat darker to give comfortable contrast to eyes. Measurements of the daylight. Daylight factor. Intensity of daylight illumination is liable to change from moment to moment. It is not measured in terms of foot candles. Reliance is placed on a factor called the daylight factor DF. It is the ratio of illumination at a given point to illuminate at a point exposed simultaneously to the whole hemisphere of the sky, taken as 500-foot candles excluding direct sunlight. The daylight factor may be summarized as follows. Daylight factor is equals to instant luminous indoors divided by simultaneously occurring luminous outdoors into 100. The daylight factor is determined by modified photoelectric meter known as daylight factor meter. It is recommended that in living rooms that DF should be at least 8% and in kitchen it should be 10%. Artificial lighting. Daylight cannot meet the requirement in illumination during all hours and during cloudy days. It should be supplemented by artificial illumination for adequate illumination. It should be as close to daylight. 5 systems of artificial lighting. Direct lighting. In this, 99 to 100% of the light is projected directly towards the working area. Direct light is efficient, economical, but tends to cast sharp shadows and it should not fall directly into the eyes. Semi-direct, 10 to 40% of the light is projected upwards so that it reflected on the object by the ceiling. Indirect is light does not strike the surface directly because 90 to 100% of the light is projected towards the ceiling and walls. It gives the general illumination of the whole room, but not any of the object. In semi-indirect, 60 to 90% of the light is directed upwards and the rest is downwards. Direct, indirect is here light is distributed equally. No one system can be recommended to the exclusion of others. Methods of artificial illumination. Filament lamps widely used. Electric current heats up the filaments and the light is emitted depending upon the temperature. Hotter filament produces bluer light and accumulation of dust on the bulbs reduces illumination by 30 to 40%. So they should be cleaned frequently. The total emission of energy from the two lamps is as follows. Filament and the fluorescent. Light and heat. The filament gives 5% light, 95% heat, and fluorescent gives 21 light and 79 heat. Light standards. Eye responds to a range of illumination ranging from 0.1 lux to 100,000 lux, that is brighter sunshine. There is considerably confusion about the standard because of the adaptability of the eye. Many standards have been published, but these are arbitrary. The visual efficiency increases with the increase of illumination, but the curve flattens out at higher level. The following values in lux has been suggested by Illuminating Engineering Society. These are given for casual leading, general office work, fine assembly, very severe tasks, and watchmaking. It can be seen that for watchmaking, max amount of illumination is required. Biological effects of light. Human-related health effects. There comes biological effect, vitamin D production. UV rays also treat certain conditions. Modern phototherapy has been used to successfully treat psoriasis, eczema, jaundice, vitiligo, and localized sclerodermatitis. Harmful effects are skin damage and eye damage. Applications of the daylight for healthcare system can be seen as photography, electronic industry, fluorescent dye uses, analytical uses, that is forensics, enhancing contrast of ink, sanitary compliance, and chemistry. Biology-related uses are air purification, sterilization, and disinfection. Now coming towards the recent updates. This is an article published with that says optimizing windows to wall ratio for conserving energy in office buildings for cooling dominant climate with and without daylight utilization. The article shows that the impact of solar heat and daylights entering through the building facades with the reference to different WWR orientation were exposed for the selection of optimum WWR. When daylight is not utilized, the energy demand is minimized by the lowest possible light. With the daylight utilization, energy demand is optimized by use to from 13 to 30% according to orientation. The methodology used in the study can be applied to any other location around the world to keep up the optimum WWR for glazing type. Evaluation of daylight intensity for sustainability in residential buildings in cantonment cottages, Multan. The recommendations that are given in this article show the entrance of sufficient daylight into buildings can reduce the cost of energy. Thus, proper design in this regard makes the building energy efficient. Entrance of daylight certainly depends upon the orientation of different components of buildings. And this study will help architects or building designers to locate or orientate major building units like bedrooms and living halls in a position where there would be more penetration of the daylight, which results in minimizing the electricity consumption. As we know, insufficient daylight into building can seriously affect the health and working efficiency of working personnel. Existence of moisture and insufficient daylight is in a favorable place for breeding for anaerobic bacteria, which creates odor. Another slide shows building energy codes of Pakistan. The code gives minimum performance standards for building windows and opening, heat, ventilating, and air conditioning equipments and lighting. And the scope, the section describes recommendations and requirements for interiors and exterior electric lighting and recommendations for day lighting within buildings. Now coming towards the MCQ session. First MCQ is interior designer were designing a house in the city ABC, and he was much concerned about the proper illumination of the rooms according to the specific recommendations. For living rooms, the recommended DF, that is day factor, should be at least option A 8%, option B 10%, option C 12%, option D 14%, and option E 18%.
D.
Option A is the right one, 8%, because The max we can do, but in this option, I've asked for the least recommendation. Second MCQ is civil engineer while designing a room in a building was very much concerned about lighting standards, which have been published, but there is considerable confusion about standards because of the adaptability of the eye. For casual reading, the recommended illumination standard is option A 2000 lux, option B 1000 lux, option C 100 lux, option D 200 lux, and option E is 150 lux.
E.
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 Option C is the right one. For casual reading, 100 lux is recommended. There are four light measuring units of importance. One of them is the power of light sources considered as a point radiation in all directions. It is measured as candela or candle power, and it is a unit of option A luminous flux, option B luminous intensity, option C illuminance, option D brightness, and option E reflection.
B. B.
Yes, option B is the right one. Luminous intensity is the unit that is measured in this scenario. Fourth MCQ is in an office XYZ, the concerned person was allocated with the task of proper lighting in the office rooms. Illuminance is a term that describes the measurement of light falling onto illuminating and spreading over a given surface. Which of the following will need the highest level of illumination? Option A, bedrooms. Option B, hospital wards. Option C, railway platforms. Option D, proofreading. And option E is the kitchens.
D.
D. Option D is the right one because the max level of illumination will be required for proofreading of anything. Fifth MCQ is most of the accidents on the highways during the night time are due to the glare of automobile headlights. Glare causes annoyance, and I cannot tolerate the glare because it causes acute discomfort and reduced critical vision. It is caused by option A, color of the light, option B, excessive illuminance, uh, option C is the surroundings, option D is the steadiness, and option E is the brightness. B.
B.
Yes, option B is the right one. Excessive illuminance is the cause of glare. However, color, surrounding, steadiness, brightness, they all can be an important cause of the highway accidents. But in this scenario, B is the right one. Sixth MCQ is an architect XYZ knows very well that good lighting is essential for efficient vision. Poor lighting conditions can lead to general fatigue and loss of efficiency. For efficient vision, following light factors are essential except option A, sufficiency, option B, steadiness, option C, presence of glare, option D, absence of sharp shadows, and option E, refractive error. Option C is the right one. Presence of the glare are essential. However, all are the important factor, but in this scenario, presence of the glare is the right one. Seventh MCQ is a researcher XYZ was working on a project to see the association of light and different health hazards. He found out that the light has no association with the following health hazards. Option A, eye strain and irritation. Option B, headache and fatigue. Option C, skin problems. Option D, nystagmus. And option E, squint. E. Option D is the right one. Nystagmus is not at all related with any light issue. Eighth MCQ is an architect XYZ is building a house with proper lighting. Windows should be properly planned as natural lighting within any room is influenced by the amount of visible sky. The size, shape, and arrangement of the window opening. Windows with greater penetration and diffusion of light are: option A, small and cubic; option B, rectangular and sleek; option C, tall and broad; option D, circular and multiple, square and multiple; and option E, circular and cube. Option C is the right one. They should be tall and broad. Ninth MCQ is: a designer ABC is very much concerned about the interior of the rooms regarding lighting in order to obtain the full benefit of the natural illumination in the room and to give comfortable contrast to eyes. Option A, ceiling should have mosaic pattern. Option B, ceilings should be dark colored. Option C, ceilings should be white. Option D, ceilings should have been abstract designing. And option E, ceilings should be black colored. Anyone? Option C is the right one. Ceilings should be white for the natural illumination in the room. 10th and last MCQ is: daylight cannot meet the requirement of illumination during all hours and during cloudy days. It should be supplemented by artificial illumination for adequate illumination. The radiant efficiency of the luminous source depends upon: option A, source, shape of the source; B, place of the source; C, wavelength of the light rays; D, temperature of the source; and option E is the radiation type of the source. It depends on the temperature of the source. Option D is the right one. This is the key of the MCQs. This shows the YouTube channel and link. And thank you. Dr. Naila, should I end this meeting?
Yes, please.
Thank you.